World-class athletes and making sure the event runs smoothly.
Away from the limelight and these big events, a generation of volunteers is getting older. There are fears that the baby boomers will be too busy working, caring for grandchildren or enjoying their retirement to make up the shortfall.
Some charities are so concerned they've set up a commission to look at the problem.
Well, to talk about this now is Mike Wild from Manchester Community Central, which helps voluntary and community groups, and Beth Pipe, who's a keen volunteer and will be helping at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Morning both, thanks very much for joining us. Beth, just give us an idea of why you choose to volunteer, because it's not the first time you've done it, is it?
It's not, no. It's a chance to meet new people, get new experiences, just really get out there and do something a bit different.
And you volunteered, what, for the London Olympics?
I didn't, no, unfortunately. I was going to, but then we moved to Cumbria, so I made a bit of a commute.
OK.
And can you give us, I mean, part of this is about demographics, and we're suggesting that certain age groups are, can you give us a sort of snapshot of who you are? You know, are you in work? Are you, just like, how come you are able to or wanting to volunteer?
Well, at the moment, these days I work freelance and I fit it in around that. But previously I've worked full-time and volunteered in the evenings or at weekends to do things. It doesn't have to be an onerous task. It's not a 9-to-5 thing. You could just do an hour here or an hour there. Sometimes the sorts of roles you can actually work from home to perhaps update a website or a blog these days. Organisations look for volunteers to do all sorts of things.
So there are lots of ways you can do it. And Mike, what are you noticing about the volunteers who are helping you?
I think the thing we're seeing is people's disposable time is changing. So, like you were saying, some roles you can fit in at all kinds of odd hours at different times of day, whereas others, if it's like a charity that works with children, a lot of people want childcare cover. During school hours. Well, that means you've basically got to be not working during those hours, and that's getting quite hard to find people who've got that sort of time, because that's time when they could be earning. So we're seeing it's a bit of a struggle for some charities to fill in certain types of roles.
As I understand it, some of the evidence suggesting there's a kind of polarisation going on, where young people are very much embracing the idea of volunteering, and considerably older people are, and then there's in between.
Yeah, I'd say that probably fits with what we're seeing. We see a lot more young people coming to us. I mean, we've had 8,000 volunteers registered with our centre just in the last 2 years. That's just in the city of Manchester. And I'd say about a third of those are young people under the age of 25. So that's brilliant. That means we've got a whole generation that's growing up with the idea of volunteering as part of how they see their lives. What you don't tend to see is the people who are in the sort of middle of their careers, and I think that's going to stretch out even longer, like you say, as people are working later.
I suppose, and the key question for you, if you've got those younger volunteers who are perhaps at the start of their career as well, whether they can be able to do it going through their career, because then it becomes the problem, doesn't it?
And once they start to raise their own families,
right,
their disposable time decreases, because obviously they've got their own childcare issues and so on.
Beth, did you when you first started volunteering, or have you always? I mean, is it just something that's been a constant for you?
Yes, I can remember doing it when I was at school. So,
right.
Yeah, it's just something I've always done.
Yes, and are you conscious of this effect we're talking about, where there are people of a certain age? I guess we're talking about sort of 30s and 40s, are we, where there's a drop-off? Are you aware of that? Maybe
I think, yeah, I don't work in the same sort of volunteer circles as Mike, so some of the things I might do is perhaps working with local charities on a beach clean, for example, and there you see families coming along because it's a spare time activity, so, you know, and organisations like RSPB, Cumbria Wildlife Trust, those sorts of places, you know, run regular beach clean activities that people can get involved in and learn about the environment. And you see a whole mix there of, you know, little kids just running around and learning about litter and the impact on marine life and things as well.
I suppose the key thing as well here is that you know, this is saving charities, obviously, huge amounts of money. The fact that there is this enormous wealth of volunteers at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in the city of Manchester, there's we calculated there's about 94,000 volunteers just in the city. That's in 3,000 charities, and if you paid them all minimum wage to do the work they do, it cost 121 million a year. That's a huge contribution to the city's economy. Now, it's not free, because you need to pay the volunteers' expenses, you need to pay somebody to look after those volunteers. One of the most important jobs in any charity is the person who looks after the volunteers. And that's something that charities are struggling to keep hold of at the moment.
Mike, thank you very much. Beth, thank you.
We'll see you at
Enjoy the Commonwealth Games.
I will do, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. It is 7:48. You're watching